Hey, Shalom. I want to start off by giving all praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh Bashem Yahushua, Bashem Rakah HaKodash. That belongs to the Apostle Noah's Great Millstone. Peace and blessing to you, brothers, pushing His truth throughout the four winds. You can see this video is entitled More on the Gentiles. Just going into the subject of the Gentiles, just to try to bring some more clarity to it. Through the Spirit, I pray it's edifying. Acts 26. Starting at 15, and this is when Paul was on the road to Damascus, on the road of Damascus. It says, and I said, who art thou, Lord? And he said, I am Yahushua, whom thou persecutest. So right off the top of this, you have to understand this is spiritual, because the Lord was working through his men and his spirit was on them. So whatever Paul was doing against those men, it affected the ministry. Okay. But rise and stand up upon thy feet, for I have appeared unto thee for this purpose, to make thee a minister and a witness both unto these which thou hast seen. Okay. So who has he seen? Who did Paul always persecute? It was the Jews. Okay. Now, anyone basically transitioning over to being a Jew, or that were already basically with the practices, so on and so forth. He was like almost trying to put a stop to the ministry that was going forth. But it was the point in time where the Lord was like, well, now I'm going to use you for the same thing that you preached against, or you practiced against. Okay. He says, let me see. And of those things in which I will appear unto thee. So certain things he was bringing forth that, okay, now you have the Jews you were going against. Now it's a point in time to where it's certain ones that you didn't know were actually Jews, but they have to be brought into this fold now. Okay. So I'm going to use you to bring them into that fold. It's like masterminded by the Lord, so Paul was used, or Saul was used, all to reverse and flip the script on, the customs, all of these things, you study them to see who's who and what's what. So who better to use than someone who actually knows the ins and outs? Okay. It just masterminded. All right. It says, delivering thee from the people and from the Gentiles, unto whom now I send thee. See, just solidified it. Now I'm sending you to these people to deliver them. Okay? Because all of these things basically were coming together. Everything was coming together now. See, it was like, at first it was no one knew certain things, and then when Yahushua came on the scene, he knocked down that wall of petition with the northern and southern tribes, because no one knew who was who. What I'm saying? But now when that spirit was brought forth, you had the Gentiles who didn't know who they truly were, because when you go back to 1 Kings and you read about the separation, and the break and the split, it was said no longer that they would be the Lord's people. But when this time came now, those people would be brought back into the fold. So somebody had to come in between and be that messenger. So Yahushua started it. Okay. John made way and Yahushua started it, and everything began. So now the Lord needed a mouthpiece, and his spirit to be on, which was Saul, which turns to Paul. Now he was speaking to the Gentiles, the Israelites, that didn't know. So that message had to be brought forth. So they feared this man, and all it did was show the power of Yahweh Shem Yahushua. Okay, because they feared him. They thought he would kill him. So all of a sudden he just changed over to, now I'm going to be a voice and a mouthpiece of the Lord to show you guys who you truly are. You know, that's just a show of power. Okay. It says to open their eyes and to turn them from darkness to light. So initially, Saul was trying to turn the light to darkness by persecuting them, telling them their ways was wrong, so on and so forth. But now the roles were reversed, and now that spirit fell on him. Now he's turning them from being in a Gentile mind state and bringing them to truth. But this was to Israelites, okay? Because the other nations, they're in darkness, okay? They're in darkness. It's no. That's why when you read, it tells you that Yahweh Shai, he was like, I'm only sent to the lost sheep of the house of Israel. Okay, why is that? So how could you include someone else that this wasn't even made for? Okay, it doesn't change. Okay, so that darkness to light, it says, and from the power of Satan into the Most High. So it's like going from one end of the spectrum to the next. Okay, first we were moving this direction. Now the Lord said, okay, I'm gonna put the spirit on you. Now we're gonna go this direction, and it's going to be your job to teach these Israelites, or these Jews that didn't know who they were, who they are now. Okay, because that Gentile mind frame is just a lack of knowledge of who you are. Why you think you got scriptures? My people are lost for a lack of knowledge. You know what I'm saying? So it's not knowing who you are that makes you a Gentile. Okay, so not knowing who you are makes you a Gentile. Let's just look at it today, in today's time. Ask someone, so-called black, their nationality. You're going to get a lot of different answers. A whole lot of different answers. Okay? So, is there a land called black? No. Is there a language called black? No. If you left right here, like if blacks left this country right here, where would they go? What would be their homeland? It's not Africa. Okay? Everybody has an identity and a place and a language but us. We make up our own shit, Ebonics. It's not no damn language. You know what I'm saying? We make up culture as we go because we have nothing that sticks to us until Yahweh Shem Yahushua came and he broke down everything and let us know this is truly who you are. And when you go to the curses, it actually tells you that there will be the key indicator to identify who you are, who we are. Okay, this is 1 Peter 1 Peter chapter 2 verse 7. It says, "Unto you therefore which believe, he is precious, but unto them which be disobedient, the stone which the builders disallowed." See, we're gonna always have 2/3 also. You're gonna always have 2/3, okay? And they're disallowing this truth to come forth. All right, and this is what Paul was doing, or Saul was doing, in the beginning. He was disallowing them to learn who they were, or he didn't want anything to do with them, and he basically was going against the grain of the truth. Okay. But it says, the stone which the builders disallowed, the same is made the head of the corner. Okay, now watch this. And the stone of stumbling. See, this truth, Yahweh Shai, the name, all of this, it's a stumbling block to 2/3. Okay, it's a stumbling block to the other nations. They've never heard nothing like this before. By you saying the Gentiles is just the other nations of Israel, they're not going to understand that because it's a stumbling block, especially to our people, because we want to love everybody. All right? That's being in a Gentile mind state. All right? It says, being disobedient, whereunto also they were appointed. So our people were appointed to be disobedient and not have that light. The light is blocked from them. Okay? It was appointed that the light would be blocked. They're supposed to be Gentiles. The mind frame that they're in, even though they're Israelites, they're Gentiles still, because that's the mind frame that they move in. Okay? It says, but ye are a chosen generation, a royal priesthood, and holy nation, a peculiar people. Who's more different than us? Who's more separate than us? Okay? Everyone hates us. Okay? It says that ye should shew forth praises of him who hath called you out of darkness into his marvelous light. We just saw that up here with Saul, our Paul. Okay? It says, and Paul, when he talked to the Gentiles, it said to open their eyes. How do you open their eyes? When you give them this truth. If they can receive it, that's going to take them from that dark place, following Satan and things of this world in a Gentile mind state, and to the light, which is Yahweh Shai. Okay? And it says it right over here again. It says a royal priesthood, that ye should shew forth the praises of him who hath called you out of darkness into his marvelous light, which in time past were not a people. Now, when they were not a people, guess what they were? They were in the mind frame of being what? Gentiles. They were in the mind frame of being Gentiles. So being in that mind frame of being Gentiles, they were in darkness. But now, fast forward, when we have Paul bringing them to the marvelous light, because the spirit of Yahweh Shem Yahushai was compelled in him to do so. Okay? Because it says, look what in times past were not a people, but are now the people of the Most High, which had not obtained mercy. Why did they not obtain mercy? It was simple. Because them not obtaining mercy basically stemmed from breaking the laws, statutes, and commandments. Okay? And that's when they were shunned and pushed away. So, notice how I said, in a time you were not. So, you must have had something if you lost it. Okay? So, we had the truth, and we lost it. That put us in a Gentile mind frame, and basically a follower of Satan. Okay? But now, it says, but now have obtained mercy. When Yahweh Shai came, he was the sacrifice to bring the northern and southern tribes back together, and mercy was obtained. The only thing now is someone had to be the mouthpiece to bring these two together. Okay? And that was the spirit of Yahweh Shem Yahushai, who went on Saul and turned him to Paul, and all the prophets and the men of today. 1 Corinthians 12:2. Ye know that ye were Gentiles. How can you be something? If this was speaking Slakia, if this was speaking in a sense of being fleshly, you can't be a Gentile in the flesh and just change. It has to be spiritual. Okay, what changes you? The renewing of your mind. Okay? It says, carried away unto these dumb idols, even as ye were led. So, who led them? First of all, going into captivity, you're going to follow whoever's your, you know what I'm saying, captures you, and you're going to be forced to follow their ways. Okay? We were led to those things. But this is Ephesians 2:11. It says, "Wherefore remember that ye being in times past Gentiles in the flesh," okay, "who are called uncircumcision by that which is called the circumcision in the flesh, made by hands." So the actions that goes forth in men, that makes them Gentiles, because their mind is gone and you start doing things that goes against your customs and your traditions. Okay? That at that time you were without Hamashiach. What pushed you away from that light and made you a Gentile? Following the customs of other nations. Okay? So Paul, when the Spirit got on him, he was bringing them back to that light. But not only just Judah, Benjamin, Levi, so on and so forth, but now it was the whole nation, because when Yahushua died, he broke down that wall that two sticks would become one. Okay? But this was just the nation of Israel. Look at it right here. That at that time you're without Hamashiach, being aliens from the commonwealth of Israel. That's no other nation. Okay? And strangers from the covenants of promise, having no hope, and without the Most High in the world. So you're living in the world without any nationality or any knowledge of who you truly are. But now, when Yahushua died and all these things were put to the forefront, guess what happens? Now you have an identity. You have customs. You know what you're supposed to be doing. Okay? But now, in Hamashiach Yahushua, ye know, ye who sometimes were far off are made nigh by the blood of Yahushua. So by him dying and resurrection, it brought us back to life now. Okay? We're back to life because of that's what the whole mission was for. Okay? That was the whole mission. To get us back to the commonwealth of Israel and knowing who we are. Okay? It says, "For he is our peace, who hath made both one, and hath broken down the middle wall of partition between us, having abolished in his flesh the enmity, even the law of commandments contained in the ordinances, for to make in himself of twain one new man, so making peace, and that he might reconcile both unto the Most High in one body by the cross." So when he died, that blood, all that, it covered us and it brought us back together. Okay? You know what I'm saying? It says, by the cross, having slain the enmity thereby, and came and preached peace to you which were far off, and to them that were nigh. Okay? So it's basically a waking up. Okay, a great awakening. So that great awakening started off with the first person, and it just kept on to where everybody is nigh, and that's when you get the elect. Okay? Hope this is edifying. Till next time, shalom.